Yes. So let's begin. And what we want to cover is today that basically some outlining on what we did previously. So let's just quickly revise of what we did previously. We did some introduction to ML services, right? And the introduction to data science. So understanding what exactly data science is, what components does it have, etc. Some ML algorithms, understanding of AI ML, some applications around supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. So that's another part what we did. Data science applications. So some platforms, software platforms, traditional AI versus generative AI. So generative AI was basically what? So it's an artificial intelligence system capable of generating text, images based on your generative model. So whatever description we give, it produces, a text, image, or any other media based on that. Similarly, it provides you recommendations or text uh, options, whatever questions or queries the user is asking. What is generative AI? So we just deep dive into the definition part of it, some advantages and disadvantages, understanding like some challenges around it, what it could lead to, what could be the problems, potentials. You know, these were some options which we have used before. Text to images, use of generative AI in research. These were the topics we covered previously in the first session. Now coming to some implications of generative AI in research. Biasness and fairness. So biasness is always something which remains in the models. We always minimize it. But in real life, there's a lot of biasness you come across, and generative AI models may inherit biases present in the training data, potentially leading to biased outputs. So we try to minimize them, okay, using different techniques. So these were just examples we discussed last time. The doctor yelled at the nurse because she was late. Who was late? In the sentence, doctor yelled at the nurse because she was late. Pronoun was she. The nurse was late. So this implies, but at times it could be used for some other person as well. Intellectual property, ownership and use of AI can produce duplicate documents. A lot of forgery can happen through legal terms, if I say. So these things have to be restrictive, to be taken care of and understand very carefully. So it helps us to identify, it can identify anomalies in your documents, it can identify duplicacy in your documents, copyright issues, etc. These are the things it can identify and help us with. Though, it's a harsh reality that somewhere the technology is also being used to create those documents. But in first place, duplication is happening because of technology as well. Forgers are very smart these days. They do frauds based on gadgets, documents, etc. So these things are hard to find, but yeah, we keep constantly working in industry to identify them as well. Data privacy. So data privacy is again one of the most important things to maintain. You might have heard, recently there was a data leak. You might have heard from ChatGPT side as well. We heard then previously you might have heard that Google users or Apple users had data leaks at a global level. So these are some problems with the digital data today. Your passwords can be leaked. your messages or videos, some personal videos could be leaked online. So these are the problems, which have triggered digital arrest kind of issues today. And people are kind of trapped in those issues and, hacks when it comes to problems through which ChatGPT can come. Misuse, as we are just discussing, all the fake videos, fake information, documents which we are going through. So these are the issues which have to be addressed. If you remember last time, there was a fake video for RPM as well. So these are the issues which people are actively working on to prevent them. Now, generative AI in research best practices, avoid plagiarism. So these are some techniques which we can use. I'm not saying it will be the only ones, but these are some of the best ones which you can use for identifying this and AI generated content. So AI detected pro, GPT radar, GPT kit. So these are some applications. Now you might not have even heard of some of them, being a beginner, but what it will help you is you can go back and Google them, try to understand them, try to see how these applications work. Once you are introduced to these applications, you will be able to understand, okay, why they are used, read about it, and you will gain, more knowledge on it. We'll discuss a lot of things in the sessions as well through, all these practices and applications and how models are created. But this will give you a background to understand, what is happening around in the world, how applications are being used, what are the use cases you connect to. What is a prompt? So basically last time, we discussed about, I showed you a sample model as well on Python, which was done earlier for LLMs. So that was just the basic LLM model, which we discussed in the last video. For those who might have not seen that, you can go back and refer to the first video of our training. So in the end, towards the end of the session, I'd covered a basic LLM model where we were discussing about giving prompts. So how first we give the inputs, we begin to develop our model, then we train the model, and from that training data is where we ask questions and we try to understand through users what they require. So any input which they give is kind of a prompt which triggers a response, then output. ChatGPT is again a prompt engineering thing where you're asking a question. So that's your input where a customer or user is asking a question and the output comes through that. By definition, art of designing prompts to generate specific high quality responses is called prompt engineering. So the art of asking, fundamental aspect of prompt engineering, a crucial skill in the field of AI and NLP. So as I mentioned, earlier in the first session, NLP is one of the basic, language programming which has been used before, and it is still one of the important cores of approaching LLMs as well. These are, that's how we started doing text mining in the industries, and these NLP processes help us to identify and break the text into phrases, vectors, and read them into our coding platforms. So the code it helps code, understand and read the data and create chunks of the data. If you're trying to find patterns also, it can do sentiment analysis, etc. So these are the things it tries to identify. Then it involves crafting precise and effective instructions or queries to elicit the desired responses from AI models. Okay. The accuracy is very important. So if you ask something, you might not get all the information. You might get all the information from all over the world also, but what information is being provided, is it relevant, is it useful for the user? So the accuracy of what question has been put and what the answer is being generated. The accuracy for that answer is very important. That's where the these chat GPTs or LLM models come into picture. As simple prompts are the statements that you provide to chat GPT. Okay, what is GPT? So we have been talking about this, right? GPT full form is generative pre-trained transformer. So it's basically a transformer model, per se, for base. These are three types of chat GPTs which are available: chat GPT free, chat GPT Go, chat GPT plus. How are they different? Chat GPT free, there will be a limit of number of messages that free users can send with GPT-4 depending on usage and demand. So when you register, basically, as if you are registering as a first time user, you get a chat GPT free login. For previously it was first 5 trials for input messages. Now it might have changed, but you can give a certain number of messages as inputs. Initially you can try it out. That's the idea behind it, that first you log in through your Google account, you can get a chat GPT account, and then you can post your queries and questions. Suppose this limited to 5, so first 5 will come from GPT 4.0, and then when the limit is reached, chat GPT automatically switches to 3.5, GPT 3.5, so users can continue their conversation. So it won't stop you, but basically it kind of gets you to the previous version. You won't be using the latest version in the markets. So that's where the membership comes into play. The free access is limited to the previous version, previous train model, so you might not get up to date information. The processing might be slow, and there would be some lags while generating the information. That's potentially a free account. Go account. So as we look at, ChatGPT makers have launched a new affordable subscription, ChatGPT Go. So this is roughly priced at 4,000 per month, offers 10 times more messages, image generation, file uploads, etc. So this will give you like a personalized membership, not free, but basically a chargeable fee per month is applicable. It gives you that ability to use ChatGPT more frequently. The new ChatGPT Go plan is more like a budget-friendly one, for individual users. That unlocks GPT-5, offers 10x more usage, double the memory strength, better speed. So you will be able to use, the latest version, even if it is not 4 or 5 tomorrow going forward. You will still be able to use the latest version when you're working on these plans. ChatGPT Go will enable individual users to get it more frequently. Now coming to the next one, premium option, ChatGPT Plus. So that's roughly 2,000 per month in India, and it could cost around $20 elsewhere, uh, depending on usage. Provides the most powerful package, includes GPT-5, 4.0, and other models, mainly for deep search agent mode. So you might have heard of a lot of agentic AI and stuff. So and then there are some AI videos which are getting created. People are generating a lot of material online, posting videos from their imagination. You know, like there was one video where a baby elephant was doing a bungee jumping on a swing. So those are the things which are coming out of these tools these days and looks like real. So you can, someone wants to have that processing speed and that kind of power, they can go for a plus plan. Which one should you pick? As I suggested, ChatGPT Go is what you should be probably more budget friendly upgrade, and then look at more useful things and information around the world. If you are into more advanced models, you want to create more nice imaginary or hypothetical videos or any other stuff, deep research, you can go for ChatGPT. Searching on Google versus ChatGPT. Now, how is it different searching on for both of them? First one, what is Google? What is ML? Okay. We have Googled what is machine learning, for example. Okay. It gives you all the websites. It responds with a list, up to date information. What sites are tightly associated with these words? So that's what the answers primarily come out as. It gives you links to all the website where it could find, what is ML as the keywords. Now, what is ChatGPT? You ask the same question, responds with draws from knowledge it has from the model it was created. So basically, it has pre-trained knowledge and up-to-date information definitely. But yes, whatever information you provided, it will give you all the information from that data itself. How do you design it? The base model, how what is the logical model around it? It's not one and a first idea your conversation builds. Now, first is the need. Why, you know, when someone builds a model of or a prompt or a ChatGPT question, there is a need behind it. You want to ask something, so that's the requirement, which goes into a design prompt where you're inputting your question. This prompt basically gives triggers a response. Now the response can be no or yes. So in case the response is yes, the response is used. If it is no, there are two options. First is it will regenerate response and give you a next response from there. The other option is redesigning the prompt. So you change the way you are asking the question, you give another input, different input, and then you try to modify it. And it goes to the next prompt again. Just a second, I'll break just to understand if someone is joining or waiting. All right. Yeah. So let's continue. Idea two is designing your prompt. Prompt engineering isn't just supplying the question, it's also supplying the context and the way to answer. So the second one is where you have different types of prompts you deal with. So there's some of them are role prompt, few short prompt, chain of thought prompt. So role prompt is assigning a perspective for GPT to mimic. We'll discuss them with example as well. Few short prompt, giving examples of how similar questions are answered. Chain of thought, give examples of how you want to GPT to solve the problem. Okay, role prompt. So you ask a specific question. For example, assume you are provide primary school student. Explain Independence Day in 50 words or more words. Okay. So basically, it's given you a generated Independence Day paragraph from the data you have. Few short prompt. A short is an example of how answers could be given. More examples below. So just look at it. We provide the description, a red button that says stop. So we've given like kind of website input here. Sorry. So this is like a coded input we have given. Uh, Description, a blue box that contains yellow with red borders. Then again we have given a coded input. So it's more like a generative HTML input we have given to generate the output. So this will generate a button for you. And similarly, you can create images or something through codes as well. Chain of thought prompt. So basically, LLM tends to perform less if you're trying to, doing some calculations or procedures while giving input questions. But yes, it does, work on multi-step problems as well. So like you can see what is 100 into 100 divided by 400 into 56 we have given as an input. It calculates and gives you the answer. Similarly, example of customer segmentation analysis where you give an input on what are main demographic variables, age, gender, how can we cluster the customer. So it does all this. It will help you find patterns also, but then it will be kind of less on efficiency, a bit slow as well compared to a direct question.
But one thing I have, like
Yeah.
chain of thought is something like if we are doing something, right? It's like a processes, like step by step, the processes they are showing.
Yes.
Then the system is performing and giving the solution,
Yeah.
right? But it is like accuracy wise, this is actually the most accurate in what I am thinking
Yes.
because it's like thinking step by step. Even if it's slow, but it is accurate at the end of the day.
It is accurate. So
Like
you
I might be wrong.
No, no, you're correct. The accuracy is never a consideration. These are very well trained models running on very huge capacity, large servers. So it's just relative. If I talk about what we role prompt versus chain of thought is, this is kind of sequential. That is instant.
Mhm.
So it will be like you will be dealing in fractions of millisecond lags, nothing else. You won't even feel.
But the thing, yeah. Can I ask one thing?
Sure.
Yeah, what the thing is like the models you are saying that is the latest model. Like this is, I am not asking for the latest model. I am telling if someone is doing on a research basis, right?
Yes.
Latest model is something that will give the because they have obviously been optimized, right? But these kind of technique, latest models, I what I think is nothing latest model generally most of the time needs. But for someone in a learning perspective
Yeah.
these are something that we train the data like if we have the data chunks because obviously like how DeepSeek was able to do they did the pre-trained model
Yeah.
of like ChatGPT I believe they then they refined it multi-tuned it and then actually got it so I believe like the chain of thought might have occurred that time as well because
It's
generally
been
even
there.
the
Yeah.
perplexity even perplexity thinking is somewhere in the chain of thought process. Like he
Yes.
goes like majority of the time they search it, then they think they gave a 3 minute timer in deep research, everything got thought, then the chain of thought occurs, then the answer comes.
True.
But obviously if we are considering the latest models they are actually trained. So like
Yes.
obviously that won't be any consideration for them. But for a learning perspective, what I think is chain of thought, like this thing actually gonna be beneficial if the learning is considered. I might be wrong.
No, no, definitely. So see, it depends on the users, as I mentioned. Like someone who was probably a student or in a research phase might want to use a earlier model. Someone who is just a front end user, like for example, professionals working around who are looking for outputs, direct answers. They want to use latest models. Companies might want to use latest models for their products, etc. So it depends on target audience, what your audience is, and who are trying to use the version. So I'll tell you from my personal experience when I started with it, I was using ChatGPT 3.5 when I started. So I was also using a free model before because when you're in research phase you don't want to invest a lot, you don't want to understand a lot. So that's the place where when you don't want to invest, you don't want to spend a lot, you go for these models and try to train them on your own outputs and your inputs which you have given. So definitely that's the accuracy will never be a problem with any versions because these are very huge servers running in the backend, and yeah, it runs on like fraction of milliseconds in the
But
outputs.
initially there was accuracy. Sorry to interrupt. Actually, initially there was some
That
accuracy
was
issues.
very
That's
initially.
why there was
Yeah.
a benchmark.
Then
Benchmarks were there. I believe like
yes,
3.5 was very like in a laggy situation. Then I believe 4 came. 4 was also not in a benchmark higher. Benchmark higher was 4.0, I believe, like 4.0, like this time. After that, all the things were on the higher of
that
benchmark.
happens. See, that
But
happens
previously,
with technology, and that's the reason you have versions. Big
hmm,
basic models are what they train on, and because it's based on reinforcement learning, even the model keeps learning on its own. So definitely, the later version will always be better in terms of outputs and speeds. So yeah, I guess. That's what
Yeah, yeah,
even
you
you
can continue.
like you answered yourself only. That basically, later models will definitely be better when you're working on them.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, you can.
Yeah. Oh, great. So it learns on huge data, as we were just discussing. Yes, reasoning patterns, context, grammar. So there are different technology trends, and then there are different models which we'll discuss today. So anything apart from this to discuss till this point?
Nothing, nothing. I was just thinking like GPT Pro, GPT Go was like yesterday only. I
Hmm.
believe yesterday or day before yesterday, OpenAI, some dev actually posted it for India. I read it.
Yeah,
I believe yesterday only that came, yesterday or day before.
yeah.
Not much time.
True, true.
But there else nothing.
So see, basically the premium ones which I'm talking about, I personally, individually, not a lot of people would be using it. You can use it through India or any other country. A lot of people connected through VPNs, and if I'm sitting in India, I can connect through VPN and get a membership from any other country also. That's not really a task. But yeah, ideally, if I say, a lot of people would be using that uh, paid version for individuals, then premium is definitely there. I know some people using premium as well because they've been using social media and creating videos, and like you see AI videos, right, in social media these days. So these are some things they have created.
Yeah. So that was like Google View 3, I believe. Google was there for that. So that is expensive. I believe there is a compute, 500 to 2000 compute depending on the video, some seconds too, I believe.
I'm not
10
sure
seconds
the
was the highest.
yeah that part I'm not sure right now, but yes, it's computing speed matters when you're creating all these images. So
Yeah.
videos are nothing but
There
basically
was,
combination of images only.
mhm, yeah, nothing else.
All right. So, yeah, coming to some technology trends, like we have been using generative AI, which involves a lot of algorithms to generate data, etc. Now, there are some different kinds of models which we are using. Uh, GAN, yeah. So, generative adversarial networks. Players are using GAN to offer root with sophisticated domain-specific data augmentation and solution to problems, such as image to image translation. These are different kinds of models which we use when we're looking at generative AI. Companies such as NVIDIA, H&M, etc. create photorealistic images of people. Then what we'll do is this is just a brief touch upon of each of these types of models which we are looking at. When we go into deep dive, we'll try to understand more on it. Probably in the next session we might do it, but the point is to give a brief overview of what models we are looking at and then go and deep dive into it. Now, company variation autoencoders, VAE. So you might hear a lot about GAN, VAE as initials if you're dealing with a lot of, if your role involves modeling basically. Companies that use VAs to compress large amounts of images, videos to store and transmit. So you might compress a lot of images and videos online. Uh, these are the models which can help you do that. Google's Magenta uses VAE to generate music and art pieces, and definitely more to it. Now, transformer-based models for creation of digital art, film, gaming, etc. Transformer-based can be used, involving transferring of style of one image or video into another. So mainly these, ChatGPT's ones are also transformer based. Okay. Dolly is
So,
trans. Sorry, yeah, saying something.
stable diffusion as well, I believe.
Sorry, can you repeat it?
Stable diffusion. Stable diffusion.
Yeah.
That was also a transformer based, right?
Yes. So Dolly is one of them, model developed by OpenAI. So a lot of backend models, you might hear for the first time, like probably Sayam has worked on it, so he's familiar, but other users might not be, other people might not be. So a lot of things you might hear for the first time, but try to just, understand and see what this information is about, what we are trying to do. In your free time, go back and try to follow up. If you really want to learn generative AI, try to go back and read about these terminologies, to read about what these models are. We will definitely cover it, but it will always help you if you're trying to look at a revision of the date session which we are working on, and what we have covered today can be useful later as well. So these are transformer based, then NLP. So these are some models which we have used previously also for text mining. Companies using generative models such as GPT-3 and Power 3.5 also show impressive results in generative AI. So this is just another format. Healthcare companies use NLP to extract information from medical records, research papers, etc. So this is just one of the examples in healthcare domain. NLP is mainly for text mining. I'll showcase one example today on an NLP based recommendation model also in this session. So that we'll do later today as well. Hyper personalization. Players are using hyper personalization to provide customized offers based on previous interactions and use AI algorithms to continue optimizing. So, a lot of customization happens. So the example which I showed in LLM models last time was nothing but a customization for one of the clients in education industry or a food industry. So this you can also do through no coding platforms today. uh, ChatGPT also gives you that option if you want to just create a group of marketing stuff. So you can only have marketing research or PFSI domain related, banking domain related. So you can do that customization and personalization easily today. Traditional methods versus transformers. Now, just I want to touch upon what are the previously used methods which we were using. We might have worked a lot on deep learning models, AI models. So RNNs, CNNs were some of the neural networks which we were using before. We are using some of them today as well, but just one of the previous ones which we have used. So before transformers, so RNN was a neural network designed to handle sequential data by having connections that form directed cycles. So this is a part of deep learning covered in AI before. I haven't really covered it because it's a part of different connection. We are focusing on generative AI, but yeah, these are the neural networks which have been used before. It struggles with remembering long-term memory sometimes, and used for time series prediction, speech recognition, language modeling, etc. Then comes LSTM, so long short-term memory, if I say, a type of RNN with a more complex architecture using gates to better remember and manage long-term and short-term dependencies, used for sentiment analysis, text generation, etc. Now, what these models are basically, for example, you can do stock price predictions, anything on time series. So if you're dealing with huge 10 year, 20 years of data sets, you can, derive meaningful insights and use them for patterns and try to understand how stock prices are falling and try to predict them for future. Stock prices is just one of the example. The accuracy is very low compared to other models if you're looking at stock prices. But yeah, we definitely have between 40 to 60% of accuracy when we are also dealing with them. These models help us to understand how we can predict different time series and speeches around the time as well. Now, setbacks, some of the setbacks are sequential handling, memory limitations. So with all of this, memory is again something which is always subjective to what systems you're using. Cloud computing helps us to kind of and enables us to increase our memory processing, increase our RAMs processing processors around the world. So you can use cloud computing. Uh, you can increase them. But if I talk about the large scale data which has been produced, like the data size which Google or a ChatGPT company would be processing would be very different from what an individual is processing. So that kind of huge data set today, uh, you know, can be handled directly like this, and always requires huge servers to be maintained. Training challenges. So some of the training challenges are like for certain models, as I mentioned, stock price prediction. I've like I've worked on it. So it deals with a lot of external data, external factors. So market crashes very frequently. So any news, any natural calamity, any political news can, hamper the market prices, hamper the trends. So what we try to do is, look at as much as data as possible and try to identify what are the probabilities of happen to the same. Any questions at this point? Okay,
No, 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 nothing, nothing. All good.
cool. Thanks. Okay, transformers. So as I said, we have a transformer type of models which we're using. A transformer is a type of model that helps computers understand and generate human language by paying attention to all words and sentence at once. So what we do is in NLP, we break down, the sentences. How we work on it is we take the text, we take it the text in a bulk which has been given like a news data. So you would have all the text together, we break them out into tokens and chunks. Then we remove the unwanted regular happening words which are kind of redundant in the data. We try to tokenize them and look at main keywords. Then we look at those keywords happening frequently. So there's a TF-IDF algorithm which we look at: term frequency, inverse document frequency. What it does is it gives you the significance of the keywords. So if there's a paragraph on Independence Day, probably the independence word might occur 20 times in the paragraph. So the significance of the word becomes huge when you're looking at the paragraphs and the data sets. So that data gives you the significance of words. Once you have that, then you go and create a vector. So it creates a vector and then compare. You can do comparisons. You can try to relevantly look at ranking your data and try to pull keywords. Uh, you can create word clouds. So these are the things you can do to understand the data on text side. But yeah, coming back to transform. So yes, it is doing the similar thing, generating human language by paying attention to all words in the sentence. Unlike earlier models, transformers use self-retention mechanism which can use a whole sentence at once. So as I mentioned, it's reinforcement learning. So it kind of learns on its own as well when it's working on that. It follows encoder decoder architecture. So this is basically nothing but encoder reads and understands the input, decoder generates the output. So first we understand what is the input we have given, what is the sentence, uh, then it generates the output based on that. Transformer led to birth of PLMs, pre-trained language models, transformers, power models, which were pre-trained on large text data. So some of them were BERT and GPT. GPT is something we are already discussing. BERT is another one. Reads whole data sentences for understanding. Now transformer-based models were scaled up with more, powerful data and powerful hardware. They evolved into versions. So as we were talking about, 3.5 came, then 4.0 came, and we are looking at different versions of ChatGPT for future as well. So these are the things which we are looking at and gives us all the latest information available from the data, which is our web data, if I talk about for this purpose. Yeah. So this is kind of, a transformer model which we look at. If I just increase the size of this a bit. Yeah. So input sequence embeddings. Embeddings basically work on two encoded and decoded layers, multi-head attention, and feed forward. So again, generating outputs from the embeddings which have been generated to input. Coming to LLM. So we discussed about prompt engineering, what exactly prompt engineering is, how the prompts work. We will again now briefly touch upon what LLMs bring to us. What an LLM is, a type of AI that has been trained on a massive amount of text so that it can understand and generate human like language. Examples: Llama, Gemini, GPT, 4o, etc., which we are discussing. So these are models which we are looking at. Parameters in this, so these are nothing but basically learnable values in the model that help it understand patterns in the data. So parameters, when we develop an LLM model, I'll show you how we are using parameters and how this helps us to generate and predict patterns into the data. Every input is embedded into vectors, and these vectors are multiplied by weight matrices. So as I mentioned, in NLP also, so what we used to do was uh, create keywords, so identify significance and create vectors out of it. So this is the standard processing for any computation can increase, size can increase, modeling technologies can improve, but generally we create vectors out of it, and then later on, once text is converted into vectors, it's tried to do some mathematical calculations, or try to identify significance or provide weights, multiply with matrices, weights, etc. So these are the operations we do once it is converted into vectors. Generative AI is essentially built on LLMs or similar foundation models. So apart from LLMs, we have more models, what we look at. We will discuss them in detail, one by one, later on in the next session. So what we are trying to do is understand what kind of models we are looking at when we are looking at generative AI. So apart from LLMs, there are many more models which we'll discuss. While LLMs are underlying engine trained to predict and generate language, GenAI refers to broader suite of tools and systems. So this is like a combination. So LLMs is one of the models which helps you generate text. Generative AI is the whole. So like we talk about in data science, we talk about ML, machine learning, AI, etc. But the whole is data science, right? Similarly, this is the cap, which we are talking about a cloud under Gen AI, which comes into what models it is using, how it is used, what applications are being used, etc. Generative AI systems can be multimodal, combining text, images, etc. The underlying principle remains the use of large pre-trained models similar to LLMs. Summary: it's nothing but a combination of LLM plus task specific tuning plus generative capability. Some examples as we discussed before as well. So, tuning these models is another part which we'll discuss uh, going forward. So let's look at some, tech stack understanding of how the generative AI tech stack works. Businesses can stay ahead. So what we'll understand and discuss now is some of the inputs, how the models work, some examples. So as you see, some clouding platforms, etc. I've given. So these will help you understand further how we can use them. Then we'll discuss some AI use cases as well, and we'll also look at different versions. by implementing a robust generative AI stack. So when a user comes in, there are apps, end-to-end front-facing apps. So like Copilot, Gemini, you know, Jasper. So these are some B2B and B2C applications, and then there are some end-to-end apps as well coming up, which have come up. So everything is there, as a front end you're using in an app, but the back end probably would be, a ChatGPT model, or Microsoft model in the back end. That's something which is very common around it. Now, closed source foundation model. So large scale pre-trained models via APIs. So, for example, GPT, you access Chat GPT, right? How do you access it? You access it through an API URL. So your URLs are nothing but APIs, you know. And model hubs, platforms to share host models like Hugging Face, etc. So these are some packages which are inbuilt and can be used while modeling and creating them models. It can also, kind of host your models. Sorry, OpenAI is one of the platforms which can be used. Then open source foundation models are there. So these are nothing but basically some applications which can help you create models. If you're trying to create a model based on these, are some inputs you can use uh, coming onto it. And then clouding platforms. So computer hardware exposed to developers is a cloud deployment model. So anything, as we mentioned, when we are working on it, data sets are huge these days. A lot of companies store their data sets in clouds. So you can directly link to these clouds and work on them, and work directly using that data set when creating the models. Hardware accelerated chip optimized for model training. So these depends, the hardware totally depends on the user base we need. So whatever, kind of, it's very subjective. Hardware these days, like as I mentioned, generally people use cloud imputations, cloud platforms, but I have also seen a lot of data security firms that try to still use inbuilt servers and try to keep the data offline so that nothing gets out in the wild. So data security is important, though it's all maintained through clouds these days. But yes, there are firms, especially if I talk about retail bankings as well, a lot of things are done in house as well in models. Then there are a lot of loan recoveries which happen. So there are companies which are still working on backend AI models and working on local servers within in house. So yeah, it's subjective. You can always have these things, but cloud is something which is preferred to maintain that flexibility and access through the world. So you can different access it through different countries also. This is the whole ecosystem which I've tried to look at. So okay, just to make one thing, like I want to just communicate this, that these slides which I have used, I'm using these slides from different sources. That's something, I don't really, there's so much data available. I don't think everything has to be created by myself. So am trying to educate people. I'm trying to make them understand and try to, train them on generative AI. So that's the purpose here. Sources can be different from webs and different platforms. So this is like, one of the ecosystem we are referring to, where there are certain platforms like OpenAI, now DeepSet and Hugging Face, etc. Creative organizations, synthetic data generation platforms, vector search and curation, image editing, general writing and content editing. So these are some, platforms which can be used if you're trying to, look at specific data usage, specific usage of your purpose, code generation and documentation. So these days, it's very easy to kind of do it. You can generate. a whole website in probably 1 hour time if you're using. So use Copilot or any other platforms. These days it's very easy. Using Copilot, you can just do it in like 1 or 2 hours of time maximum. You can create a whole website and app from there. So these are the real world applications. So today I was reading that probably you can create applications on the go later on. These are the changes you will be looking at. So definitely manual intervention is reducing day by day, automation is increasing, but yes, some of it is useful as well. So you can s- previously a website development would take 3 days to a week for a basic one to develop. Today you can just do it in a fraction of uh, you know time, like 1 hour or 2 hours. So that would be on the upper side. If I say a basic one would not even need probably 1 hour. Yeah. So these are some landscape of generative AI models which are being used. So these are the purpose. So what we have done is like company-wise there's segmentation on audio, 3D, video, etc. What kind of models are being used. I'll share this. You can go through these ones in the back end sometime. I'll try to focus more on data use cases. So industry-wise, key use cases on how we can use it in different industries. If I look about healthcare, automating admin task, medical image analysis, sorry, medical image analysis, drug discovery, generating medical data, etc. So these things are there. Then there is BFSI, financial document search and synthesis, chatbot, virtual assistants, fraud detection, and automotive, manufacturing, and retail industry. So one thing interesting is the autonomous driving as well, uh, which has been self drives. So you have partial features in India, but outside you'll see a lot of self driving vehicles operating in it today. So these are some AI features, AI developments which we have seen of late in automotive sector. In-car virtual assistant, voice assistant, very important for self drives as well. Retail, personalized marketing, product recommendations. So these are, I think most of the main retail outlets which you'll see. So whenever you go to stores, you will see product recommendations through, shelf placing. So coffee will be placed beside a tea, or coffee will be placed beside sugar, where we have more probability of customers to buying it. Similarly, other foods. So these are, some real life use cases which we are discussing here. These are endless. So what we'll do is I'll look at, more detailed ones. I'll try to give some too detailed case studies on it in my coming sessions. So what we'll do is we'll understand how we develop models, and we'll try to deep dive more on the models. Designing a chatbot. So I'll probably stop here because the meeting is about to end. We have completed our time, but I'll give you a brief of what we are trying to do here. So initially in the first session, we covered, an introduction to data science, some understanding on Gen AI. Today, coming into second session, we have covered around how ChatGPT and prompt engineering works, introduction to them, understanding what kind of models we have, just a brief intro around what all types of tech stack is useful, and then looking at some use cases. Next would actually be I'll show you, what we are trying to develop and discuss. So this is the terminology and the models we are trying to look at. So what I'll discuss is next some terminologies which are used in LLMs, type of models. As I mentioned, there are different types of models. LLM is just one part of it which is being used, but there are more to it which could be used. Then fine tuning of models. So RAG is one of the techniques which is used for fine tuning models. then evaluations on the LLMs, LLM agents. So you might have heard of GenTech AI and stuff. So we'll do that, cost and efficiency and etc. So these are the things which we'll cover in the next session. So try to come and attend the session because it will be good and knowledgeable for you to understand how the models work, what kind of models we deal with, and then we'll try to discuss around how do we create a chatbot as well. All right, so that's one part of it. Then there was another uh, you know sample code which I wanted to show you today. So this was one of the recommendation NLP based models which I did some time back. So I wanted to showcase this, but it's okay. We'll do it in next class. We'll do it in next session. So this is just the recommendation model based on NLP. So just to show you what we can do with text. What's the power of text today? All right. So I'll stop sharing here. Thanks, Sayam, for joining.